Ubisoft has just released the Last Atlantis episode, and with it comes a set of new engravings which we can engrave on our own weapons in the Atlantis Forge. So it is all about these 9 engravings here on the page, and we will make a in-depth look how powerful they really are. At first look they claim to do incredible things. The first group claims to convert 50% damage to all damage. Really looks amazing when you consider the 25% assassin damage conversion in the past. Then damage to nearby enemies, we will take a look at that as well. And we will make some real-time clocking on the cooldown timers and really prove is what they claim here, cooldown per ability kill, is really what is written here or not. When I first read the description about converting your damage, I was immediately thinking of 25% assassin damage conversion. And I thought, when I am able to kill the Minotaur or Medusa with 70 million or 40 million, what would that be with 50%? Will we have more than 100 million damage? In the end it turned out not to be that way. The game does not take your damage values from the inventory screen. So instead of the assassin damage conversion, which really takes your assassin damage number from the inventory screen, these damage conversions do not work with the inventory values, but instead they work with the real percentages. So I tried to make a calculation here. I emptied all my character and I only enabled the 3 abilities that give you 40% damage for Hunter, Warrior and Assassin. And then I only put a bow on it which has 24% hunter damage, so we have 40% warrior, 40% assassin and 64% hunter damage. And then I put the engraving on with a different bow, 25% hunter damage, and suddenly then we see that the hunter damage didn't change at all, only the 1% from the different bow, and it added half of 65%. So we are up to 72%. 40 plus 32 is 72%. But the hunter damage didn't change at all. It stayed at 65%, 40% from the abilities plus 25% from the bow. So when you use an engraving which converts to all damage, in fact it doesn't convert to all damage, it does only convert to the 2 other types of damage. Then I also put the Blade of Yumminess with 250% on it, and I was expecting I will get 125% on the other damage types. But that was not the case. When I put the Blade of Yumminess on, it completely ignored the additional damage, and we only had 322%, which is just 250 plus 72. And the additional assassin damage comes from the assassin engraving on the blade itself. So it completely ignored every all damage here. And then we could go a step further. We could also put the Facts of Olympus trait on it additionally, and we will also still have 422, which is all the 350 from both engravings and 72% from the conversion of our hunter damage, but that's it. There's no increase of all damage perks, which means it doesn't work on all these engravings here on the page. It only works for the normal standard engravings, the warrior, hunter and assassin engravings with 20%, 24 or 25. For the second group I did a lot of testing with conquest battles, where I thought these damage conversion to nearby enemies might shine most, and then I tried a lot of melee damage in conquest battles, also arrow damage, and the result was that it kind of has a problem with triggering properly. So it only triggers when you see the red circle around your character. And if you don't see your red circle, all the people around don't get damage. And that happens quite often. And when you one-hit an enemy, the ability never triggers. So when you have a really good build that one-hits every enemy, then the damage to surrounding enemies is absolutely useless, because you will kill every enemy and it doesn't trigger. It just triggers from the second or third hit, and they have to be an enemy really close by. And the arrows again, they have still also a problem with triggering. So in conquest battles it was really weird. It could be that it is pretty useful and working in normal play, but for Conquest Battle I was really disappointed here. Hitting enemies multiple times before not getting the yellow circle, and that is a real disappointment. But then I tried it for assassin damage and it was real fun. Assassin damage really kills every surrounding enemy instantly. So when you sneak on to that leader group, which is protected by a lot of elite soldiers, and you just assassinate one of them, everybody is just falling on the floor. And that's really funny. And it also works with rush assassination. So from my perspective, the assassin damage to surrounding enemies is the most fun and most useful. It works consistently, at least I think so, and I would probably rather use that instead of the melee damage or arrow damage. Arrow damage has an additional setback because it is only working with normal arrows, which is really bad because you will likely not use normal arrows at all. You will most of the time use poison or fire arrows, and then you deal less damage but get damage to surrounding enemies. I tried to have it in synergy with multi-shot, but I wasn't able to see an effect of it, so I think it doesn't really work with it. The third set of engravings is claiming to reduce your cooldown time for an ability kill. But because that looked odd during my first tests, and then I decided I should make up some real test and clock the cooldowns for 3 different settings. One setting I chose was no cooldown bonus, the other was 25% cooldown bonus from the legendary engraving, and then I used in the big screen 10% cooldown bonus per warrior ability kill. And we made a simultaneous start here with Furiosa Bloodline. I made it almost frame perfect, and we will see which is the fastest. I made sure I made a lot of ability kills here in the big screen, but then again 25% cooldown wins, 31 seconds, and then we have 38 seconds for the 10% and 41 seconds for no cooldown bonus. So what does it tell us? We only get 10%. It doesn't matter how many people we kill, we only get 10% instead of 25, which we could get for the other engraving. So it makes absolutely no sense to use these engravings. Just go for the 25% and you're fine. So in summary, we still get a lot of rubbish from the DLCs, but we finally got some good stuff too here as well. The first engravings are not as good as they could be, but that would be game breaking anyway. So they make up for some good builds in the future. And the other stuff, yeah, well, it's up to you if you want to use it. The cooldowns really make no sense, and the damage to nearby enemies is debatable, but I will probably not use it in my builds. So if you have any questions, please write a comment, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.